Hey, you're listening to Bookmark My Words. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Sarah.
Please like, share, follow, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Tell us what your favorite book was that you read for the month of July. I think mine has to be probably the only book I finished, which was, and shockingly, I can't remember. What did I finish?
I only finished Every Summer After.
Oh, mine was literally The Lost Girls of Camp
Oh,
Forevermore. That was the only book I finished in the month of July. We're not doing
we're
great.
not doing well.
We're not doing great. But yeah, put it in the comments. What was your favorite book you read in the month of July? How was your week?
It was good. It went really fast. Nothing really notable until the weekend. The boys came home.
Yep.
So, and then we, as you know, we went out and celebrated your birthday
Yay.
and watched a really good movie, The Fantastic Four. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I was gonna like it. Andy said the same thing. He was like, I did not think I was gonna like that, but it was really good. And then, yeah, just kind of
Hung around the house today.
hung around the house in the rainy weather that we've got.
That's my week was pretty the same, just work. And then Saturday we went to go watch Fantastic Four. I wanted to watch that because at the end of Thunderbolts, you know how Marvel does like their little thingies at the end?
Yeah.
It had it to where they were in their ship and they kind of like appeared in the sky and the new Avengers were watching them come teleporting into their world. So, which leads up to Doctor Doom.
Yes.
I really wanted to watch it. And Pedro Pascal is just like,
I do love Pedro.
I just freaking love him. And also,
But I will say, I think the guy that played Johnny Storm was my favorite.
yeah.
He was hilarious.
Who is he? He's the guy that plays Eddie. Oh, you not watch Stranger Things. He's the guy that plays Eddie on Stranger Things.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, that's why he looks so familiar. I have watched Stranger Things, thank you.
I thought you hadn't.
Yes. Have they
Quinn?
released the new season?
Not yet. Joseph Quinn. I knew it was Quinn.
Yeah.
Joseph Quinn plays Johnny.
I mean, I liked all the characters, but I think he was my favorite. He's the goofy, lovable one.
Yeah. I like the way they didn't make Ben mopey sad rock.
Yeah.
Like, he had his moments, but he was still like, he had lines to him. I feel like that's the one thing they dropped the ball on the original one, like when we were growing up, was they made Ben where he just wanted to sit inside of the lab just moping, which I get. Alright, so today is National Sister Day of this recording, August 3rd. So, those sisters out there, happy Sister Day. I don't know if that's like a global thing. Probably not, but I don't know, here it is. So
we've got a day for everything.
So, happy National Sister Day! Yay! So if you guys are listening to this on Tuesday, you're late.
Yeah, don't tell her now.
You're late. But today, I figured since it was National Sister Day, I would do kind of like a full book breakdown of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. It shockingly became one of my top 3 all-time favorite books. And I'm not like a classical read type person, but this became like my favorite book. I would listen to it on Audible, and I didn't know this, but some publishers split up Little Women into 2 different books, which makes sense now thinking back, into Little Women and Good Wives.
Oh.
So she wrote that separately, but it's all like
they've merged it through the years.
Yeah, they've merged it through the years. I listened to it unknowingly, just one right after the other, and it was just called Little Women. So that's how I'm going to be talking about it, because this doesn't...
Is that whole thing in it?
No, this one's just Little Women. And then Good Wives, I guess that's why it looks like it's a 600-page book, because this is 300 pages.
Oh.
And then I guess the other one is 2. When I listened to it on Audible, I will say it was about 16 hours long. But it was really cool because it had different actors.
Oh, that's nice. I like
so it really, and they had every now and then they would have party music in the background, and when they did little chapters.
Really set the scene.
Yeah, not really chapters. They don't do chapters. I guess rest in between almost. They would do little background.
So is this a playwright?
No.
Okay.
But it kind of the way they read it was. You know, everybody's got their own voice, and then like you'd hear them like walk across the stage and stuff. Like it was a whole. It's like imagine going to a play without being able to see it. Straight up. That's what it reminded me of. So, doesn't really have a synopsis, so I'm just going to read what they have on Fable, which is Little Women is a classic coming of age tale of four sisters on their journey to adulthood. Though today it's considered a classic, Little Women almost wasn't written. Alcott wanted to publish a collection of short stories instead, but her publisher and her father pressed her into writing a book that would appeal to a wider audience of younger girls. The first volume was written quickly and published in 1886. It was a huge success, and Alcott composed the second volume just as quickly and published it in 1879. By her own accounts, she didn't enjoy writing them, but both she and her publisher agreed the first few chapters were a little dull. It almost goes without saying they were pleasantly shocked at the positive reception they received for both volumes. By 1927, it had become acknowledgeable as one of the most widely read novels of the era and remains widely read today. So, I did read somewhere, it doesn't say it in this, but I did read somewhere that she kind of loosely based it off of her and her life and her sisters. So, I guess she has three sisters, and that's just how they are.
Did women write much back then?
Not really.
That's what I was.
And that's why when she writes Jo, who is the second sister, I guess she had said in like a paper review or something that Jo was loosely based on herself because Jo is the one that wants to become the writer and like moves to New York and, you know, sells some of her little poems and stuff like that to a newspaper. And of course, critics kind of ripped it to shreds. You know, women can't write, women can't do this. You know, got to think back in that time, it was really tough for some of those women to break out into anything, really. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like that still happens today.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely still.
Not
I mean, they definitely have it a little better, I would think, but
not the
there's still
same.
things.
Yeah. Like I do feel like writing now is very female dominant, but most publishing companies are owned by men. So it's still kind of but so it starts out you kind of meet the four sisters, and these four sisters could be very different. And in my mind I kind of picture them as like two sisters because they kind of run around in like their selective group.
Oh, okay.
But of course they get along like normal sisters, like no big deal. So you got Meg, who is the oldest. She's your calm one, reasonable oldest sister type. Generally, all of the sisters have like some type of like artistic talent, and hers is like acting and singing. She has dreams to be just really wealthy, high society. That's what she wants. She's like,
Me
I
too,
just
Meg.
want to just be like one of the rich ladies that has people working underneath me so I don't have to do anything, and I just want to be rich unlike where they are now, which is kind of like how I picture middle class cuz they're not poor,
Right.
but cuz like they've got a huge house, but they're not nowhere near to be rich.
Like high society.
Yeah. Then you've got Jo, like I talked about. She's the second sister. She's the writer of the family. She's the tomboy. They talk about her wearing breeches all the time. She wears breeches. Oh my gosh.
No.
Which they just think it's funny, but she's not allowed to like wear them in town and stuff because people might talk. That's what Meg says. People will talk, and then you'll never find a husband.
Oh man.
So which Joe's always just like, I don't want a husband. I just want to write.
Yeah.
So that's the type of person she is. And she's the one that meets Lori first, and I'll get to him in a second. She's the one that meets him and introduces him to the family and how he kind of gets him and his grandfather kind of get wrapped up into their lives.
Wait, the man's name is Lori?
No, it's like a nickname.
Okay.
So then you have Beth, who is like your true, in my mind, like the true middle child. She's very quiet, she's very calm, doesn't talk a whole lot. She just kind of like is the peacekeeper in between Jo and Amy. She just likes to sit and just play the piano. And that's it. That's like all she loves to do. We'll get into her sad tragedy later.
I was going to say, I feel like there's something sad about Beth.
Yeah.
I have never read Little Women. Has always been on my list, but I've heard obviously through the years many things about it.
It's not a hard read. I will say you could probably if you have like a fourth grader who's an advanced reader, just because of the vocabulary, they could totally read this. Obviously, it's a classic, so it doesn't have any like
Right. Anything bad.
anything inappropriate in any way. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of the safest books you could probably read. Yeah, I love it. The vocabulary would be difficult for someone younger, but you know, fifth grade up.
Possibly me.
Yeah, I was gonna say every now and then I was like,
I'm terrible at big words.
or like when they say like certain things, like they kept going by and by, and I was like, I don't, what are you saying?
Oh, like a by,
Like by
the
and
by
by.
and by.
Yeah.
So it's like almost
Old,
old English.
yeah. Because like you gotta think like they're in Civil War time.
Okay.
So, because that's where their dad is. But
Oh.
then you go to Amy, who is the youngest. Movie-wise, she is my favorite.
You've watched the movie too?
I've watched the movie. The movie made me read the book, believe it or not. And I watched it because of TikTok, shockingly.
Oh, see, it's not all bad.
See, it's not all bad. And what it was is that I really like Florence Pugh. Anything she's in, I absolutely just adore her. So, and then Florence Pugh, that's one of her first acting, like, big roles, was playing Amy. She was younger, but yeah, so she,
Oh,
yeah, so she
I
played,
do love her.
so Florence Pugh played Amy, and that's kind of how everything kind of just trickled into each other. Amy is the youngest. Amy is in the beginning of the book, she's immature, whiny, wants to be around her sisters, wants to act like the grown-up one. Your typical youngest
What
child.
age range would you say they are?
I think they said, I think at the start of the book, Amy is like 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're like
when she's younger,
little.
she's like young.
And then I think, yeah, I want to say it's like 9, 11, and then like the two older girls, they're like closer together. They're like, I think Meg is like 14,
Maybe
15,
pushing.
and then of course towards the end they're like in their 30s.
Right.
And it does wrap it up pretty nice. And then it does have more books. I did not know that. I thought it was just the 2, but they have what's
I
called.
thought there was just one.
That's what I know. Find out all sorts of things. I thought there was just one, but apparently it goes. Let me see if I can read it the right way. Little Men,
Oh.
which talks about all of Joe's adopted boys. Because in the end, she runs like
a boys' home?
kind of like a boys' home.
Oh.
And then the other book is just called Joe's Boys. I don't know why
hard to say.
I can't.
Joe's Boys.
Can you struggle with that?
Joe's Boys. No. But maybe because in my brain I'm not reading it.
Maybe that.
Maybe you're joining them together. Joy!
Yeah, joy boy.
Joy boy!
Anyway, so she's got a lot of other books, but those are the ones that are like the same characters.
Related to that. Okay.
Kind of like how like the Pride and Prejudice are all related, the same character groups by Jane Austen. I have tried, I can't do
There's
it.
more of them too?
Yeah, so there's Pride and Prejudice, there's Emma, somebody else's name.
I'm one of those annoying people that like read TikTok.
Now, I will say though, I tried listening to them in audiobook and I could not do it because they didn't have it as like a play setting like they did this. And I do feel like that captured my attention more because
that makes sense.
I don't know, it had more than just a person just reading in.
Yeah, sometimes just the reading can get a little.
It was,
especially if they don't change their voices, it becomes like. Oh.
Yeah, it was very much like oh gosh, we're not gonna make it. So I tried reading those after this and I couldn't do it. But so then you got Lori, who I was talking about.
That
is the rich boy that Joe meets. He lives next door. She doesn't know that when she meets him, but he lives next door. And
wait, so Joe meets him, the one that doesn't want a man?
Joe meets him.
Okay.
They have a very complicated relationship, and it ends this book in like closing their relationship in a way, in Little Women anyway, and in Good Wives. I'll talk about that in a second. But let's just say he does marry one of the March sisters. It's just not the one you think.
Ah.
Yeah.
Lori.
But he has his reasons. So Lori lives with his grandfather. His mother died, and his father, I can't remember if they said his father died or if his father was just really, really poor and couldn't take care of him. But something happened. His grandfather was a very rich shipping merchant, he takes care of Laurie. He ships him off to the greatest schools, and he's just a really bad, moody boy, you know. Totally what I pictured. Trying to think of actors' names, and it's just not working. I'm gonna have to stop. Little Women cast. Here we go. Chalamet. That's it. Timothée Chalamet.
Whoa. What does he look like?
That now. That's not what he looked like then.
I don't know that one.
That's what he looked like then. That's what he looks like in the corner.
Oh,
that guy.
I do know that one.
And then Emma Watson played. His name is actually I can't remember his first name, but his last name's their last name is Lawrence. But all of his friends call him Laurie. And then you have what they call Marmee. That is their mother. She's very much like Meg. She's very kind, very peaceful. Just she helps out everyone in town. Like she is a Christian mom that's like, we must go help those that are most unfortunate. And they're like, well, we're unfortunate. And they're like, yes, but there are those who are
Yeah. There's
even more so worse than Mr. March. He is a chaplain in the Civil War, so he's gone a lot.
It's a bad job.
Yeah, and he actually does fall really, really sick because obviously there's no food, there's no medicine, there's nothing. I don't know which side anybody fights for. I don't know. It never talks about that. Aunt March. Oh, this is when we start talking about that. You were like, I swear we've talked about this. Yes, because I said I wanted to be Aunt March.
Oh.
She is Mr. March's aunt, and she's very wealthy. She inherited the family fortune.
She's out of luck.
Yeah, she's supposed to give it to Mr. March, but then she decided she was going to give it to one of the daughters. And then, so like a good portion of it, she's like trying to judge which daughter to give it to.
Like, essentially, like, making them
kind of
fight.
Not
like,
really. She kind of doesn't.
her love.
She kind of wants the one who's like strong-headed.
So she's just sitting back. And
so she's
watching.
kind of sitting back. She doesn't tell them which one she's going to leave it to.
Okay.
She does kind of use it though, like when they start to go off on like I want to marry this poor boy, and she's like, I'm leaving you nothing in my will, which she actually does. There's one sister that she's like, I'm not leaving you anything in my will because you need to marry a man with good fortune. Because, you know, that was their thing to do back in the day.
Yeah, but if she loves
But she really loves him, and he's a good guy. She's okay with it. She comes to terms with it. And then John Brooke, who is Laurie's tutor, is Meg's little love interest. Very yeah. And then you've got Professor Frederick Bear, a German professor who was visiting New York at the same time of Joe. So, in the beginning... No, I'm just kidding. I would not do that to you guys.
Oh.
But, so you kind of move through their childhood. You get a feel of each girl, and, you know, as they grow up, it doesn't, like, fixate in any point in time. It kind of just goes through their whole childhood. And
so it's not like a back and forth, it gradually just
No,
builds.
It just gradually builds, and you can tell, like, they talk about the changing of seasons and stuff like that, and, you know, the sister struggles, that I feel like if sisters read this, it would 100% be true, because you have things like in the beginning of the book, Meg and Joe are going to a party so they can meet some higher society, so that way they maybe find a husband, because like I said,
that's their goal.
That's their goal, is to marry rich, marry wealthy, do well in that. It's not about love. So they're going to a party, Amy being like 9-ish, 10-ish, can I go with you? Can I go with you? Can I go with you? Finally, Joe gets mad, and she's like, no, you can't go with us. You're too little. You have to stay here with Beth and Marmee, and you're just... So she gets mad, storms off into her room. Blah. Being little sister. They go to the party. Like I said, that's where Joe meets Laurie. He's kind of just chilling outside, watching people in the big windows, just dancing around, and she goes out to have some air. And he's just out there, and she's like, oh man, someone else is out here. And he's the same way. He's like, are you hiding too? Don't tell my grandpa I'm out here. And she's like, I don't even know who you are. And he's like, that's even better. And they strike up on conversation and kind of do like a funny dance. So they just have fun. They're not proper and prim, and that's where their friendship truly starts. Meg is on the inside. She's trying to mix and mingle with, let's face it, the mean girls. And there is like one or two that are generally nice to them, and they eventually do invite her to another party, which I would have to look up, but it's called Vanity Fair. I don't know if that's like the Vanity Fair.
Say, is that the same Vanity Fair?
I don't know.
Now?
I'm low society. I don't know those things.
Lord.
So I don't know if that's the same thing or not.
I don't
But
know.
they talk about it like it's like a whole week long thing. So I would assume it has something to do with that. I don't know.
How long has that thing been going on?
I don't know. I thought it was just like a magazine.
Well, they have like
I don't know.
it is a magazine.
It's a magazine.
Um,
I don't know anything
but
about
they
that.
have like a Vanity Fair week in New York.
What do
But
they do?
like fashion shows.
Oh,
But like, has it been the 1800s?
I don't know. You gotta look that up.
Continue. I'll look. I'll erupt. I'll erupt.
Okay.
Interrupt.
So yeah, so Meg meets some rich friends. Joe does too, just kind of two very different sides of the spectrum.
It is not the magazine.
Okay.
It is a reference to the Pilgrim's Progress.
What does that mean?
I don't know. That doesn't help me. But it is. It says not the magazine.
Dang, I was wrong.
Okay.
Lori offers them a ride in his carriage, and they're like, "Oh, you have a carriage?" She's like, "That's so nice," because they just walked. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a carriage, they don't have horses, they just walk
Right.
everywhere. So Lori offers him. He's like, "I think if you're the March family, then you live next door to me and my grandfather, and I'll take you there in my carriage." And of course, this is like, oh my gosh, just take us in his carriage. Oh my goodness, like you can't do that because Meg does accidentally twist her ankle. So he really is like, yeah, you gotta go in my carriage.
Oh, it's like so like it's taboo.
Yeah, like to be alone with a boy in a carriage. So,
But there's two sisters.
but there's two sisters, so they're like, it's fine.
It's
We just
technically a chaperone.
so they go, and the scene in the movie really does do it justice. They come in, Amy's awake, Beth's awake, Marmy's awake. They're all talking over each other. Like I always imagine it as like when a bunch of girls get in a car at the same time and they're all having their different conversations, but they know what each other's saying.
Oh yeah.
That's what's happening, and poor Lori is just trying to make sure that Meg gets in the house uninjured. And of course, then they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's a man in here," and
Yeah.
we're in our nightgowns. Like,
Oh.
"Oh my goodness!" And they're like, "Oh, thank you so much." And he's just like, "Oh well, my grandfather just lives next door. It's not a problem. I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave such a young lady just with a twisted ankle at a party when I knew I had a carriage." So he's very kind, he's very gentleman like, and then he like kind of closes himself off, leaves. They don't see him for a while. Kind of goes down a few days. Amy is still mad at Joe. They have arguments still, and it eventually escalates enough to where this is such a little sister move, I swear. Amy takes Joe's book that she had been writing since she was 9
No.
and burns it. And her mother Marmee was like, "Well, that was a really big thing. I would be mad at you too." I mean,
That's huge.
that's huge. Like she had been writing on this book for years and she just like burns it and that is
sisters.
that is such a little sister thing to do. You hurt my feelings. Burn your life's work.
This book you've been writing in for years, it's gone.
So from then on, Joe and Amy have like beef. I mean, for a while. For a little while. But in the meantime, the girls are kind of like still thinking about Lori. So, seasons start to change and they they're outside more after their chores and everything, and they meet Lori and his tutor, Mr. Brooks, who is quite older than Meg, let's just say. But I mean like I would assume like in his early 20s. So I mean like back then that's
So in those days, yeah.
that's not that bad. But he's very poor because he's a teacher. Because everybody talks about how teachers were even poor back then. They were like, he's a teacher, he doesn't make any money. And, Meg and him kind of strike up a little pen pal because she really enjoyed talking to him and listening to him. And she was just like, oh, he's so wise, he knows so much. He's such a good teacher. Lori is like unmotivated pout boy. He doesn't want to do what his grandfather says. He wants to be a musician. He likes to play the violin. His grandfather is very against it. Here again, I can't remember how they meet grandfather, but somehow they meet. Oh, Amy lost her mitten. That's how. That's literally, it was winter. Amy lost her mitten, and she didn't want to go home because Marmee told her not to come home if
Oh,
she lost a mitten. So she's outside the house crying
because she lost her mitten.
because she lost her mitten. And Lori and Mr. Brooks were like, "Do you hear a girl crying?" And they notice Amy outside in the garden just like crying about her lost mitten. And he's like, "Well," and so he invites her inside. And someone does go over and fetch the girls, one of their servants. And so Meg, Joe, and Beth come over, and here again, it's like just a flurry of conversation
Mm.
and dresses. And poor Lori and Mr. Brooks, and Lori's actually like loosening up and chatting. And then grandfather kind of just pops around the corner because they're in the library. So of course Joe is just like walking around, just like, "Oh my gosh, you've
Oh,
got so many
yeah.
books." And then of course grandpa comes over, and they all like, he sort of comes like acquaintance to their family too. He kind of becomes attached to them. And he slowly gets to know the girls enough to where, like, he at one point, he finds out Beth loves to play the piano. He gifts Beth a piano. And she was like, "It's so big, it can't fit in our house."
Oh.
So she goes over and tells him, she's like, "This is like such a grand gesture. I thank you so much, but I cannot accept." And he's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, for one thing, my family cannot get to the kitchen."
Oh.
So she's like, you have to take it back." And so he comes up and he's like, "Well, how about you come over here and practice all the time? Like, just come in whenever you please, practice on the piano." And then you find out that Lori's mother liked to play the piano.
Oh.
So it kind of just like, he just liked to hear it. And then he kind of gets to know Joe. And Joe is the one that kind of talks him into letting Lori take some music lessons.
Mm.
Because she's like, well, maybe he's just like, he's so unmotivated. He doesn't want to do this, doesn't want to do that. And she's kind of just like, well, sir, not to speak like out of turn, but maybe if you let Lori do some of the things he likes
Mm.
and be around boys his own age, then maybe
That other stuff will come,
that
yeah.
other stuff will kind of just develop. So he does. So he quits with like the tutors and the homeschooling, and he lets Lori go to actually like a private school because of Joe. Of course, you have other events that happen
Mm.
that really affect the family. Like I said, the marches always like to help families that are more unfortunate. One evening when Mrs. March had left to help some group with the Civil War stuff, they had had someone come over and talk about this family that was very, very sick.
Mm.
And Beth was the only one that was able to go, and so she went and spent time with them and tried to heal them. And when she came back, she looked very different. She looked very pale. Then later they found out the family had scarlet fever, and even like two of the children that she was taking care of died. Beth's probably like 13, 14 at this time. And so she does come down with scarlet fever, and Joe tells the rest of the girls, she's like, "Amy has to go to school." Meg was doing something for work. I
Mm.
think she was cleaning someone's house. So she was like, "Meg, you have to keep cleaning the house for money." She was like, uh, "Amy, you have to go to school." She was like, "I will stay home and nobody else can go near her. We will put her up in the attic and I will take care of her." And she did. She nursed her back to health. But after that, Beth was never like 100%.
Oh.
Um, she would get like really winded a lot and just kind of, she would go down and have to just stay inside a lot more. But she was happy.
Right.
She just wasn't her 100% what she was when she was little. And probably around this time is when Joe and Amy kind of got over their fight. Because here again, that might have happened the other way. Amy and Joe healed their relationship first. Then I'm sorry, a lot goes on. And I'm trying to remember what order things happened in. I wrote it down to way I kind of flipped through the book and I wrote it down in that order, but I feel like that's incorrect. So I'm sorry if these are all jumbled up and out of order. Don't hate me. But Joe and Amy, like I said, they got beef. And little sister always wants to be with big sister,
Mm.
especially when she wants to go out and, have fun with a guy she likes. Lori had come over and wanted to go ice skating. Joe was all pumped. Meg didn't want to go. Beth didn't want to go. Amy wanted to go though, and Joe was like, "No." And Lori was like, let her just go. Let her go. Such a big sister move. Lori was like, "Go get your skates, Amy." And while Amy was upstairs getting her skates, Joe was like, "Run out the door." And he was like, "What?" He was like, "Run out the door." So they run out the door and leave Amy behind. So Amy's like running to catch up with them. And they get on their skates and they go off ice skating. And Amy's still trying to catch up. She puts on her skates and starts skating. And you can hear like the little clip where Lori's like, "Don't skate in that area over there. The ice is
Oh
really thin."
no.
Amy didn't know that and went to like cut through it so she could get to them faster, falls through the ice. Joe hears it, panics, and then she and Lori saved her.
Oh
But that's when she was truly just like, "Oh my gosh, I almost killed my sister because I was being a bee." But
yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, I should have just waited for you. I'm so sorry. I just didn't want you to come." Um, that's kind of when they healed up their thing because Amy always thought Joe didn't like her. Sisters, it's such growing pains
Mm.
where it's just like, "I just thought you didn't like me."
So many feelings.
So much feelings. And then when you got four of them, good God. No.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
No. So Meg and Mr. Brooks kind of have like a few like outings. They're not really like dates. They kind of just have like outings together with like a group.
Yeah.
And they would kind of just like wander off just like a little bit further away from the group. So I consider them dates. They had little dates,
Aw.
for back in that time. Like there was a beach thing where I want to say they were from Australia. Lori had friends from Australia. I think it was Australia. Anyway, everybody went to the beach and Mr. Brooks was there, and that's kind of when like their relationship kind of stepped up some. And they do end up getting engaged.
So is this the one that Aunt cuts out?
Yeah, that's the one that Aunt comes out because he's poor. He's so poor, which is just hilarious because Aunt March is such a character in herself. Joe has to go over there every now and then and like read to her because she has bad eyes. And she always wants Joe to become her companion. But that would mean like traveling around with her because she goes to Europe for like business stuff. So, and Joe doesn't want to do that. She wants to be a writer. She doesn't want to
Yeah.
do stuff that Aunt March wants to do. So at this same time that like Meg gets engaged, Amy kind of becomes a little attached to Aunt March. And so she asks Amy, which is like the weirdest thing because it's like four things happen at once. Beth heals up from her scarlet fever. Meg gets engaged. Joe rejects Lori's engagement. She tells him no because she said, and this makes sense. She said, "We're both too strong of personalities." She said, "The two of us together, we would kill each other. We're just like brother sister love."
Yeah.
And he doesn't take it well. He runs off to Europe to finish up some of his grandfather's business stuff. He had graduated school and he was over there doing some stuff for his grandfather. So he goes off to Europe. And then Joe thought, "You know what? I'm also gonna just run away from home." And so she goes, before she could even ask Aunt March to go with her for a year or two to Europe, she had asked Amy.
Oh.
So here again, Amy and Joe kind of have like this beat, but not really, because she's like, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Because Amy was so pumped because she always wanted to go to Europe to learn how to paint. Because that's what Amy's thing. I don't think I ever explained that. That's what Amy's
Mm.
thing was, is she's the painter. So she was like, "I'm so happy for you." So not long after that, their mother was like, "Maybe you need to go find something on your own." So she decides to go to New York to try to become more of a writer. And that's kind of where Little Women cuts off, is like the wrap up of their childhood
Oh,
almost.
okay.
One gets engaged, two move away. That's kind
Still
of
just kind of in limbo.
she's kind of just in limbo because she's so sick. She kind of just stays and it's funny. There's a scene where they talk about going to the castle in the sky,
Oh.
which is kind of just like a metaphor for heaven.
Uh-huh.
But they talk about what their heaven would look like, and they all kind of get exactly what they talked about, which I think is like so weird. So Laurie always said he said his specifically, I don't know why Germany, but he said he would settle down in Germany and listen to all of the music he wanted. I don't know if he ever got that, but I do know he continued to play violin. I don't
Okay.
know if he ever remembered the German. It never continued that part. Beth always said she didn't want to go. She just always wanted to be um, with their mother and father,
Aw.
and everything just to stay the way it was. Meg said, because they're children. Meg said she wanted to marry high society and wanted to have like people under her. She doesn't marry high society, but Joe calls it where she said you forgot of having a loving husband and 4 or 5 little ones running around. And she said, well, of course there would be those. She does end up having children and obviously marries Mr. Brooke.
Aw.
Um, Joe talked about becoming a writer and having a huge house full of books. Sounds pretty good to me. And
Yeah.
she kind of does. It's funny how she got the house, but and then Amy just said she wanted to become like a magnificent painter, and she does, but not like worldly famous.
Yeah.
But she does become an amazing painter. So jump into like the next section, like good wives. So you got Joe in New York, Meg's married, Amy's in Europe, and Beth is still at home. They're all struggling. And you can kind of tell, like, you know, Amy feels a little lost. She's kind of, she's doing the painting thing, but she's not really fitting in. And she does bump into Lori. Lori is kind of a lush, and she kind of calls him out for it. She doesn't let him. She's grown up into a mature young woman. She's probably like, 16, 17. And he even talks about that and teases her, and they start hanging out. They start hanging out. And of course, Lori gets jealous when another man comes courting, because he's like, you can do better. He's like, I don't like him. And so, of course, like she said, sometimes I don't get to pick. I just want to pick the best. And he's like, well, you could do better. You need to pick someone you love. And she's like, sometimes women don't get to pick for love, they get to
Yeah.
pick for money.
Back then, for sure.
Um, and their relationship kind of hangs in there for like limbo for a second. Joe is struggling in New York. She's working as kind of like a servant in like this hostel. And she's kind of like trying to sell like snippets of little short stories to newspapers.
Oh.
And she's sold a few, but she doesn't like that they take them and like chop them up. They're like, let's fix this. And she hates it. So she meets a man that's like, I can't remember if he's on a different floor or if he's across the room, across the hallway from her. But his name is Professor Frederick Baer, and he's a German professor there. I can't remember why he's there. Something about a child. It's not his child. I think it's a nephew. I can't remember why he's in New York, but he's in New York for a very specific reason. Not for teaching. Here again, very poor men. Teachers, they're just poor.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the time. You're doing it for the love.
Definitely so.
But they kind of strike up. She's always wanted to learn German, so he teaches her German. She lets him read some of her writing. He's very honest. He's a very honest critic. And I think
That
this,
makes sense with
I,
him being a professor.
yeah, and I think at this point, Joe takes it so personally because she's kind of fallen in love with him. And he's so honest where he's just like, I'm not saying your writing's bad. I'm just saying we can improve it to where maybe they will buy it the way it
Right.
is. And she gets really hurt and kind of stops talking to him. Meg is struggling to be like a good wife at home, just new marriage things. They got kids,
Yeah.
they got twins. She's learning, they talk about learning how to like make jelly. She has like a full crash out about jelly. It is hilarious because I was like, that would be me. And John, or her husband, is so kind about it because he just suffers through it and just eats it.
Mhm.
He's so kind. But they have like normal newlywed married
Right. The
problems,
growing pains
growing
of
pains of being married and then put together in a house. And then of course Beth, she's kind of just at home in limbo, but then she gets really, really sick
Again?
again. And she first told her mother not to tell anyone. And then when her mom was like, okay, I need to write to at least to Joe. Because
Yeah.
she's like, I don't want Amy to come back from Europe early. She's so excited. Because they write back and
Yeah.
forth a lot. So she's like, Amy's so excited. She's learning so much. And even Lori's there. Leave her there. And she's like, and don't bother Joe because she's out trying to live her dream. And she's like, Meg's got all this stuff on her. So Meg does start popping back at her house a lot. And then Meg writes to Joe and tells her, hey, Beth is really sick, like really, really sick. So Joe moves back home and tries her hardest to heal her. Sadly, does not work. And of course, they're like, "Listen, Amy's gonna come back in about a month or two. We'll tell her, but we'll tell her she needs to continue out her Europe tour."
Oh.
Someone writes to Aunt March. I can't remember who writes to Aunt March. And then
Oh.
Aunt March is like, "Listen, you and Amy seem to be I need you to tell her because I don't know how to tell her because I'm also very distraught." So Lori tells Amy, and he's like, but her wishes were for you to stay in Europe and complete it. She kind of does, kind of doesn't. She leaves out a little early, just like a few weeks.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it.
Because, it's by boat,
Yeah.
like sailing back and forth between Europe, and that's a few weeks travel. So she and Lori get married at sea because she said she felt like it was right. And they were waiting on paperwork once they got back home. And that's a whole thing in itself. That's very different from book and movie.
Oh.
In the book, Joe is super pumped that Amy and Lori
I
got
got
married.
married.
In the movie, she's like, kind of like, oh man, what's wrong with me? Like, I missed my opportunity.
Mm.
That he was my soulmate. And no. And that her mother is even like, I think you're just picking him because he was an easy choice.
Mhm.
And she finds her person. Her person comes along and finds her, actually. And of course, everybody can see it but her.
Oh yeah.
She's just like, oh, he's just like a friend I just knew in New York, and now he's here having dinner with my whole family. Like, what are you talking about? So the ending's a little different from movie to book. But just know, Beth does pass.
Is everybody
Meg,
home?
everybody kind of comes home. Everybody kind of gravitates towards home. I always like to think of it as there was a life change in the middle that made everybody kind of disperse, and then there was a life change that made everybody
Mm.
come back home. Because then, not long after Beth died, Aunt March died, and because Meg always said she didn't want Aunt March's money, and Amy married rich, she gave it to Joe. So Joe had the house and the money, and it's so funny because she was like, I was the least one she liked.
Right.
Why did she leave it to me? And Amy's just like, it's probably because you're the one who's most like her.
Yeah.
That you were just so independent and strong-headed. And so she's like, well, okay. And they're like, well, what are you gonna do with this big house? And she's like, I think I want to turn it in the movie. She turns it into a school. In the book, she turns it into like she kind of rolls Professor Bear into it. He kind of comes a little later. There's something he has to take care of. What it is, I can't remember, but it's like months. It's like months to almost like 2 years. He has to take care of something, and then he kind of joins her. It's something to do with the kids. It's like his nephews. So he had to leave New York, and then he had to go someplace else, and he asked Joe to join him. This was before she got the March
Oh,
house,
okay.
and she said no, and she wrote him a poem and gave it to him, and he wrote her back and was just like, "I'm so stupid. It took me so long to realize that you were telling me you loved me. Not that you were lonely, that you felt you were not lonely when you were with me." Is pretty much what the poem was saying, and he was just like, "If you'll wait for me, I will come back, but I have to finish what I'm doing here for money." And so when he came back, him and Joe opened up like not really an orphanage, kind of like a all boys
Like a boy's home.
like a boys' home. Yeah, just like a boys' home. And that's where I guess I've not read them. I guess that's where it leads into the other books. So it's a cute book. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I made it complicated.
I don't think you did.
I feel like I did
I don't
because,
think.
there's a lot of like little details in there that I couldn't, well, I didn't talk about because there's so much like Aunt March has a annoying parrot that like squawks and
Yeah, I mean,
squeaks at
there's
the
600
birds.
pages.
I mean,
You
yeah.
can't pages.
Or I'm assuming there's 600 pages. I just know this one, which is just like it ends at Meg and them getting engaged and Lori and Joe closing that relationship of are we gonna get married? And it's like, no.
You're gonna marry my baby
No. Instead you're gonna
sister.
marry my little sister. You're gonna fall in with her. Which he did always treat Amy. She talks about that in the beginning of the book where she's like, he always treats Amy with like kid gloves. And it's like,
She was.
well, she was a child. But second, maybe he always kind of like loved her differently than the rest of the girls. I don't know.
That's a weird. That's a weird gap. I guess it's not too bad though.
9 to 15.
That's no. That's not bad.
Better not be.
Well, they knew each other in those times.
Well, that's true.
I didn't know Andy when he was 6.
But they like properly knew each other.
Yeah.
Well, they knew each other like kids because Lori always acted like a child. Like all of them acted like children when they were around each other.
Yeah.
Like they had like games that they played, and they would put on shows, and they had like a secret little club I can't remember the name of off the top of my head. And I remember when they invited Lori in because they were like, first they were like, no boys allowed. And he was just like, he had to like go to court to petition why. And of course, Meg was
The high judge or
leader.
something.
Yeah, she was the one that said yay or nay. And they would wear like top hats and stuff. And like the movie visually captures that 100%, I think. I know there's an older movie of it.
Uh-huh.
I've never watched that one. I'm sorry, I'm not an older movie type person. I can't do it. I don't know what it is. Like, I can't watch Gone with the Wind.
Oh.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm
It's
sorry. I know it's your
fun.
favorite, but I can't. Like, I can't do it. Yeah, 2019.
She played a 9-year-old?
Oh, I think they kind of messed with their ages.
Oh.
But that would also make sense because she's only 29.
I
And
mean, I
she's
knew she
always,
was young.
like, she's always looked kind of
Yeah.
smallish. I don't want to say childish. She always looks small. Like,
She's petite.
yeah, she's only 5'2".
They could probably make her because
Like,
it's
no make.
plane time,
Yeah,
so you're not gonna make her up.
but to all of them. But yeah, I think they did amazing. And I really enjoyed the book, which was surprising because, like I said, I don't read classics. I did think about the other day because I was talking about my read count, and everybody keeps posting that on TikTok where they're like, "Look how much I've read, and we're just through July." And I'm sitting over here at 17 out of 45. And I'm like, maybe I should read some of those really thin books that I've got in my cabinet
Mm.
because I have like one of them's a classic. It's the Wraths Grapes of Wrath.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I should read that because it's only like this thick. And I'm like, maybe I should read it, just get it out of the way. Just for the word count or whatever, just for the book count. Because I'm like dying that the last 2 months I've only finished like a book a month. I'm dying. Like, what's happening?
Summer always does that to me though.
Summer does that to me a lot. I will say it's because I travel a lot more. Um, I almost get like ADHD in the summer
Uh-huh.
where I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. I will say I'm almost done with Assistant to the Villain. I'm a little more than halfway through it because I think part two only has, which I know I said that last week. Shush.
She did.
I know. I know I did. I had about 3 hours on the part one, and now I'm on part two, and I have 6 hours. But I'm on part two.
I mean, I can't say much. I'm still on chapter 4 of the Hunger Games.
And then the next audiobook I plan on listening is One of Us is Next.
Oh, she had her baby.
I know! Finally! It's only been a year and a half.
I know. He's so cute.
What is
He's a little boy.
You sent me that video, and I was like, good God, I was just thinking about her.
Yep, she just twirled him out.
That sounds really funny.
But he's so cute. Like, I don't know what. She's like my bestie deep. And, like, she doesn't know it,
I
but
got mine. I mean,
yeah.
She has no idea that I know where she lives. No, I don't know where she lives.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Don't send the cops after us, please.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but like I watched so much of her stuff, it even alerted me when she posted about her having her baby.
Really?
It sent me a thing that Geneva Rose updated her TikTok.
Is that why you sent me that one TikTok?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I
Yeah.
knew because I was like, because it was so funny.
And then she's still out here promoting her new book. Like, the woman's a beast.
I mean, yeah, first of all,
I think she wrote 3 books while pregnant.
I was curious, maybe that's what it is. She, like, most of the people that I read, it takes them like a full year.
Well, yeah, because your people's books are bigger than the Bible.
They are sometimes too.
Like, Geneva writes normal stuff. And she's got another one that's getting ready to come out.
But yeah, that's what I
It's
was
about
always like.
zombies. Falling in
Zombies?
love.
Wait,
Her dad asked her to write her zombie book.
what did you say about love?
I think they've about a zombie love story.
Oh, I don't know about.
No,
We
like
talked about this.
I know. I don't think.
Are
It's
you
like,
listening?
I don't think it's like that kind of zombie love. Maybe it's not a zombie love story. I know it's zombies because
Maybe
her
it's.
dad requested a zombie book.
I mean, then you got to do it.
Yes.
We had this whole discussion about
I don't
this.
think it's that type of zombie love story.
Well, that is today's episode, though.
It is.
I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't confusing. Please go
wasn't.
read Little Women. It's cute. Especially if you're a girl or a female. She, her. I don't know how else to say that.
I think that covers it.
I think that's all of them.
I think that covers it.
You know, kind of a wide age range. I'd say so. Don't forget to put in the comments what your favorite July read was.
Or if you're like us and you were in a slump.
Or, yeah, say I was in a slump, but this was my favorite read of whatever month so far. You don't have to be just July. I just thought of July because today is August.
Today is August.
The whole month. But we hope you have an amazing Tuesday, fabulous week, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.